Chapter 6. Tooth City and the King's Castle. Through the pearly white gates, Reece William could see Tooth City. It stretched out before him. It was huge. There were teeth everywhere. Teeth of all shapes and sizes and all gleaming white. Milktooth stepped through the gates. Reece William just stood there with his mouth open in shock. "Come on," the fairy called. "If you want to see the king, we'd better get a move on." Reece William shook his head in wonder. Then he hurried through the gates after Milktooth. With another creak and a groan, the gates closed behind him with a bang. "Oh well," muttered Reece William. "There's no going back now, is there?" As he followed Milktooth, he could see that the teeth were not just teeth. They were buildings. Some were houses, some were shops. There was also a library and a church. Reece William's head turned from side to side in amazement. And then he saw something that made his eyes nearly pop out of his head and his little mouth fall open again. There in the middle of the city was the biggest tooth Reece William had ever seen. It was huge, gleaming white and perfect in every way. Its two long white roots stretched high up into the sky. Reece William thought they looked just like the towers on a fairy castle. Then he realised that they were the towers on a fairy castle. The castle of the king of the Toothfaries. He gulped and his knees started to shake. "Come on," Milktooth said again impatiently. "People are starting to stare." It was only then that Reece William noticed that they were not alone. All around them were tooth fairies. Some were standing in the street they were walking along. Some stood in the doorways of shops and houses. He saw 3 giggling baby tooth fairies peeking at him through a window. "This is just too much," Reece William said out loud. Several fairies stopped and stared at him very hard. Reece William went bright red and shuffled his feet nervously. "Will you hurry up?" hissed his little companion. "We're not here sightseeing." Reece William trotted along after him. Every now and then he sneaked a peek around him. He still could not believe it. The closer they got to the castle, the more frightened he became. Milktooth, too, seemed very frightened. Perhaps, thought Reece William, this had not been such a good idea after all. As they got nearer and nearer to the castle, Reece William could see little windows in the tall turrets. The closer they came, the tooth houses seemed to disappear. All around the castle was a deep moat. At the centre of Tooth Castle was a large set of gates and a long drawbridge which stretched out across the moat. When they reached the moat, Reece William peered over the edge. The moat was full to the brim with frothy green liquid. "What is that?" asked Reece William, pointing at the moat. Milktooth sighed. "Mouthwash, of course. How did you think the castle stayed so bright and shiny? This is the mouthwash moat." The 2 little companions stepped out onto the drawbridge. "Oh well," said Reece William. "Here goes," and he crossed his fingers. Milktooth just glared at him. They walked across the drawbridge. In front of the big gates stood 2 fairies. Reece William could see that they were soldiers. On their heads were shiny white helmets made of teeth. At their sides hung gleaming white swords. Both Reece William and Milktooth gulped nervously. "Who goes there?" said both soldiers very loudly at the same time. My name's Reece William," stammered Reece William, "and this is my friend Milktooth." He pointed at the little fairy, who was desperately trying to hide behind him. "What do you want?" the soldiers said together. We've come to see the king," said Reece William. The two soldiers just stared down at him. Reece William shuffled his feet. "It's very important. My tooth's been stolen."